If you've ever wondered why you come to church, or why we sing together, or share Holy Communion together, then True Worship by Vaughan is right up your alley. In just over 100 easy-to-read pages, he tackles these questions and more as he brings readers back to the Bible in order to determine what worship is and what worship isn't. He says a quick look at the worship language of the New Testament makes it clear that worship involves the whole of our lives, whereas we often restrict the terminology to speak of what we do when we meet together as Christians. The Bible never does. He points us to Christ, our perfect priest, who provides perfect access to God. He says, if worship in the Old Covenant days took place in an earthly sanctuary, the focus in the New Covenant is heaven itself. Christ did not enter a man-made sanctuary that was only a copy of the true one. He entered heaven itself, now to appear for us in God's presence. Because as the perfect priest, he took the blood of his perfect sacrifice for us into the very presence of his Father in heaven. The no entry sign has been thrown away. The implications for worship are massive. Under the Old Covenant, worship offered to God was the main focus of the activity in the earthly sanctuary. In the New Covenant, the emphasis is not on our worship on earth, but on Christ's in heaven. Because of his act of worship, his self-offering, there is no longer any need for holy places, mediating priests, or atoning sacrifices. Roberts explains how the Reformers looked to their Bibles to find the marks of a true church. Their discovery was that there was really only one vital ingredient, without which a true church could not exist. That is the presence of Christ. This conviction then led them to ask how Christ was present as a group met. Of course, in one sense, he is always present everywhere. He is especially present, however, as his word is proclaimed. Without the preaching of the biblical gospel, there can be no true church. The presence of the gospel, the word of God, ensures the presence of Christ. He says we should all look for opportunities to encourage one another in the faith by reminding each other of God's truth. When we attend church meetings, we should think of ourselves not as consumers, but as workers. We should be praying not just that we will be blessed, but that God would use us to bless others. Roberts uses clever and interesting illustrations. Plus, there are very informative and helpful chapters on music and singing, the place of the Lord's Supper, and how they fit in what the Bible's definition of worship is. I read this book in 4 days, and I highly recommend it. True Worship by Vaughan. Order your copy today.